Time, temperature, weather phone numbers have been around in some way for quite some time. Today, quite a few are still in service or being revived. One of the revived ones, and I don't know what year this was, but at least since 2017 it's been around, is 767-2676 for Northern California. This number people call popcorn, and this has to do with the letters printed on a phone keypad or rotary dial. So if we take a look at the keypad on this handset here, you can see that 7 has the letter P, 6 has the letter O, 7 has the letter P, 2 has the letter C, 6 has the letter O, 7 has the letter R, and 6 has the letter N. So 7672676 spells Popcorn, popcorn. However, this was not the advertised number on the up until 2007 version of this service. As far as I can tell, the actual number was 767-8900, which, spoiler, don't call it now, you'll get some random person instead of a time temp service. Back in the day, you were able to dial any last 4 digits. This was done using mechanical switches. The way they worked is they would just ignore the last 4 digits, but you had to enter a set of 4 digits at the end. Otherwise, the switch had no idea you completed a call, because that's just how they worked. I've seen them referred to as digit-absorbing step switches, so that is probably the specific kind of switch that made this work. However, that is not the case now, and that should be pretty obvious. I just said 767-8900 does not go to time and temp, while 767-2676 does. So, I believe it was that 767-8900 was the actual number, but then people discovered that you could dial any last 4 digits. So 767, any last 4 digits. So like 767-1234, 767-1212, 767-9876, and so on. And so I guess someone realized that because of this, they could spell popcorn, and that is, I guess, how we now refer to this service, or some people do anyways, as popcorn. So 767-2676 spells popcorn. On my free PBX system, if I just dial popcorn 853-1212, 844-1212, or any of the other common used in more than one area, not necessarily more than one state, time temp number, 7 digits, it goes to the time temp, the time announcement at the turn the time will be thing on my free PBX system. But we want to actually dial the real popcorn. So to do this, we're going to dial 9, and then, just for the sake of it, we'll dial just with 7 digits. And my system is programmed so that if I dial just 7 digits, it goes out with my area code. Then I can press pound to force it through, or in typical 7-digit fashion, just wait. And now, with my Celta Jack, it's making the call.
Time and temperature is coming up after this.
Then I can press 1 to skip this ad that's provided by the service, but sometimes it'll just do ridiculous ads like a life alert and stuff.
People listen. Today is Thursday, October 16th. The current time, 6:09 p.m. and the temperature, 63 degrees.
Now my iPhone has hung up. Celta Jack will bring back the dial tone. And the dial tone just cut off. That's because I've programmed the Celta Jack port on my ATA, the outside line port, or FXO port, to listen for the dial tone, and if it hears it, it cuts it off. It ends the call. That's because cell to jack only has tip ring reverse, polarity reversal, or dial tone after disconnection. So it only has those two methods, or you can set it to do both or neither. So the only reliable option here is the dial tone. So what you just heard with Popcorn now is not what it was before. Let's now dial the one on my free PBX system, and you'll hear a modern take on what it used to be. And it was just for the time back in the day when this was the case.
At the sound of the tone, the time will be exactly 6:11 and 30 seconds p.m.
So that is the asterisk time announcement feature, at least on free PBX. And there is an asterisk-based number in Atlanta, Georgia, 770-455-7141 that plays the same thing. Although that one is programmed so it does seconds that are not multiples of 10 or 0. But the free PBX implementation does not do that. It also says and 0 seconds instead of exactly. For one that is more like the old days, we need to actually call one of those numbers, and there is one that is still available today. 202-762-1401 or 1069 for the East Coast in Washington, D.C. for Eastern Time, or 719-567-6742 in Colorado for Mountain Time. Let's call this one, because that is the closest to the actual time where I am. And it does those rings as the ATA dials out. And it didn't work. Let's try again. Maybe it just isn't working, or it's finally going out of service. Yep, that's not working. Let's try the Washington, D.C. one. That's the one everyone likes to call for demonstrations anyways when they show this.
U.S. Naval Observatory master clock at the tone Eastern Daylight Time.
I don't know the voice of the Popcorn one, but this I know is Fred Covington. This is reportedly one of the oldest, if not the oldest, time number that is still in service.
21 hours, 13 minutes, 45 seconds.
And it has the ticks
Universal time,
every second.
1 hour, 13 minutes, 50 seconds.
And this one only does 5, 10, 15 seconds.
21 hours, 14 minutes, exactly.
There we go, this is what I mean by exactly, instead of 0 seconds.
U.S. Naval Observatory.
So it goes between Eastern and Mountain and then Coordinated Universal Time.
21 hours, 14 minutes, 15 seconds.
The Popcorn number is, I believe, powered by a system called Weather Now. I know there are other numbers that have the same voice and in the very same or similar format, and they say Weather Now, so I believe this is the same system. But this is programmed to use time temp only, but Weather Now, the ones that actually say Weather Now also have the weather. Time temp weather is more recent. I think that is as early as the 2000s. So in the beginning, it was just for the time. In like the 1950s, you actually had to call the operator and you could ask them for the time. But then, of course, we have the automated ones we know today. Then they added temperature, and now I have time, temperature, and weather. So let's now call one that does give the temperature. Let's do 1203 Springs. That is the phone ward, as they're called, for 777-4647. So that's how I like to refer to it as, because some other people refer to it as that as well. I would have called the M&T Bank one like the other YouTubers do, but it's unreliable. The forecast is stuck
you the time and
on
temperature.
a day
Time is
in
9:15
January.
p.m. The current temperature is 47 degrees Fahrenheit.
That is the voice of the famous Pat Fleet.
Frontier Communications.
She is one of the old school telephone voices who is still alive today at the time of this recording. And you can hear her on "This number is not in service," "We're sorry, your recent numbers have been disconnected," and "This time and temp number," and a whole lot of other things. For a variant of that, there's also in San Antonio, Texas, 210-226-3232. And this is, I believe, again, one of the older ones. And this one is provided by a bank. And banks used to, or still do, have time temp digital readouts on signs out the side of them. And it's provided by a bank.
Texas is Thursday, October 16th. Frost Bank time, 8:14 p.m. San Antonio temperature, 81 degrees Fahrenheit. Thank you for calling.
So I didn't turn it on right at the exact moment, but it started by saying, "Today's date is," and then, of course, it said the time. So that's a general look at how time temp numbers work. In my area, since our time temp number does not give the weather, there's a separate number for that. That is 831-656-1725. So let's take a look at that. And then you can press the keys, and it's basically the National Weather Service. It basically works the same anywhere. You can call the National Weather Service automated weather line. There is a weather phone with time, temperature, weather we can call. It's not in California, but it is on the Pacific coast, so it is in the correct time zones. The time will be right, temperature and weather won't be, but this is also one of the weather phones I know that works. 360-945-7732. And this one provided by a telephone company.
Today is Thursday, October 16th.
Does not have ads on
The
it.
U.S. Naval Observatory's master clock with the telecom time, 6:18. Current temperature, 45.
There's that very authentic feel when it says
Morning,
company
mostly cloudy
time.
afternoon, high today upper 50s to low 60s. Rain at times.
Today was not rainy. It was rainy earlier this week, but today was not rainy. So yeah, this is a lot of phone YouTubers do just use these for testing, but they are good test numbers because they give you something to listen to how good your incoming audio quality on your phone is. But if you're actually wanting real information, you're going to want to look up the time number closest to you, and it may be a time number only, time temperature number, as in our case, or time temperature weather. And then, if you also want weather, and you cannot get that from your time temperature number, look up what the National Weather Service is in your area. Some of them don't work, but most of them do. And they may change how the announcements are every now and then. And then, if you just look around, you may find others for your area. Some time temperature weather phone numbers have gone out of service. For example, there was one provided by a radio station. I forget what state this is, but it was area code 317. That went out of service sometime last year, I think, or early this year. The Haltom's Jewelers Fort Worth, Texas weather phone number went out of service in 2023. That was, up until then, a modern day still in service example of one of those digit absorbing step switches where you can dial any last four numbers. If you call it now, you'll just get, I think it's an AT&T message saying the number you've dialed is not a valid number or must be dialed with the correct area code and 7 digits. That number has not been replaced with anything else since then. There is another one, 214-844-6611, but that one is not a digit absorbing step switch as far as I know, and I don't want to try it in case I reach some random person when I meant to reach a time temp number. And that's another thing. I've seen some reports where back in the day, people would have their home phone number be only one digit or very similar digit-wise to their local time temp number or local time number. So let's say back in the day your number was, I don't know, 201. Let's use that example since New Jersey is the birthplace of the phone as we know it today. Let's say it was 201-555-6789, but your number was 5678, and you misdialed. On a rotary phone, that would have been pretty common, because it would go in a circle, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 0. And I mean, misdialing is common on touch tones as well. 201-555-6786. 6 and 9 are right there. So it would be easy. Because if you dial by feel, it could be easy to accidentally dial a 6 when you meant to dial a 9. Most people, I bet, don't even use time temp numbers anymore because they could just look out and see the weather or use weather apps, websites, whatnot. And that's a look at time and temperature numbers and why popcorn is called popcorn.